Well, hello. Here to show you the toys of the 20 years coloring. What you see right here is I went ahead and colored, drew and colored, pictures like of me right here. Is so is the house that that of course that I grew up in whenever I was much younger. But of course the details of what from what I remember from what it looked like so far as back whenever I was about 5-6 years old, probably about 3'5", something like that, is pretty much is how tall I was. But of course it's like in this coloring right here, it shows that I'm maybe close to about maybe 5 foot, 5'2", something like that. But anyway, you see right here in the picture is I went ahead and added some details in the background. You got the swing set right there, and then along with you've got the tent, and then along with a few details of the neighborhood. So far as the titles like toys of the 20 years, and of course it's like I used to hang out quite a bit on the swing too. But the purpose about toys is that. I used to have a lot of them, which not all of them are described on the coloring here. But of course there's remote control cars and Lego sets, and then along with maybe some painting kits, and then along with race car tracks or whatever. But I went ahead and included right here, drew right here, are a few basic toys that either I was interested in or that I liked them, and then my parents had bought them for me. But of course it's like right here you got the box cut right here, which I remember my dad and I put one of those, either we put it together or we were coming up with ideas about putting it together. You got the box cut right there, and then of course I don't think we may have flown it once or twice, but we used to build a lot of kites, and then along with the model airplanes. He's one, I think it was a helicopter, a model helicopter it was. But you got right here is that, which I'm sure a lot of people have seen them before you get the airplane. And of course I want a lot of remote control stuff, like remote control boat and car and stuff, the remote control plane. But this right here is really, they're not really so too expensive if you can buy them at like a Walmart or any type of a store. But basically that they're planes. They're made like a foam. You put it together by parts. As you put the wings together, you got the wings right here, and then along with the wings in the back, and then it basically you assemble it, and then it flies. It's like flies normally, so you say it's a paper airplane. But right here is that, of course, it's like the technology is like, so far as the toys, is that one thing that this whole idea came out is whenever my parents used to have, such as a microphone. And I remember that you had a photo of me holding one of those microphones back when I was much younger. I would probably say whenever I was about 4 or 5 years old, that they had a microphone I was holding in my hand. But a lot of things of my memory that I remember holding in my hand whenever I was about 4 or 5 years old really came in interest to me. And really that I guess in particular about your childhood, that if you're going to see something like maybe a garden garden tools or anything like that, that more likely that it may seem interesting to you, and you check them out later on, and you find out that that's something that you maybe want to get in the hobby of doing, so far as gardening, or it could be, as you say, is it sewing, or it could be whatever. It could be say making stamps, or say Girl Scout cookies, Boy Scout cookies, whatever. But you get the Bubble Lawnmower right here. But basically is that I remember that one of the toys that my parents of course never bought one, ran it. But it's like one of those camcorders that took a VHS tape. And I remember, of course, if we all have seen from the previous videos that I have, is that I put it on my page, is that basically is a camcorder that requires a VHS tape, and more or less like so far as that upgraded technology, that the way the film strip was working, that it could record, say several hours, say several minutes. I would say about maybe 3 hours at the most. But let's just say, so far as the toys, is that it's like you say that more likely that I remember that that a lot of times is that you probably say you would probably have to buy most of them in order to be able to get experience, because I remember that of course I was if I remember right, I had to buy a microphone just to get experience with it, so far as the computer. And then along right here is a frisbee. Is that maybe every once in a while I'll be able to use a frisbee somewhere else at like a gathering or whatever you call it, event. But so far a lot of the toys is that basically is that to get experience with them is to be able to buy stuff. And I remember whenever I was in school that they had the class called video production it was, and if I remember right, that was only a class you could take for your senior year. As like juniors and seniors, I think, were the only students who qualified so far as taking that course. But of course, it's like a lot of our toys that we have now, such as laptops or whatever, that whatever type of schooling that you can that you go to, and more likely there will be a cost to that. And so far as training, that more likely that you probably say that with the training, whatever it is, a lot of these toys, you say is that you would probably say that with these toys right here, that you gotta buy them, save up your money, whatever, and in order to be able to get experience with them so far as using them. But basically is that a lot of toys that I had whenever I was younger, that a camcorder was one toy that I remember that I wanted for a long time, and finally was able to get it, and of course make kind of like a career for it. But but basically it's along with the trains and along with the the automobiles. It's like I got the car right there. It's like those are like the toys that I have, and of course it's like just so far as enjoying them. But I'm sure that most of the time that a lot of our transportation is relied on car, but more likely that we had the metros and stuff like that, either to say gas mileage, or it's to say that people just don't want to go through trouble finding a parking spot. But you get that right here. This is the nickname that I have for broccoli, and it's like the trees along with the food group. Is that of course it's like you begin to wonder, is that so far with the trees, you got the tree right here, and then with the shape you got the leaves, and then along with the branches right there, same thing that would match right there for the broccoli, or it could be cabbage or whatever so far with the food group. But basically this right here is talking about the way you can spend money back in like the 1970s and 80s, if so far as paper, which I'm not even exactly sure how that worked. And then along with the plastic, he's got the Visa cards now. But the ways you could spend money, and a lot of ways you could probably say that was to say is a kind of, you should say, is like we may think of it as like a toy, or may have to say that we can there's certain policies on there, such as spending limits and then how you can use it. But one of the things that I remember I used to play with also was fire. And I don't really know why, so far as how high it is, but more likely I would probably say that related to maybe the fireworks. But of course, is that you say this is like a lot of kids. There are a lot of things you can play with, maybe other than what you say is a Nerf gun, or it could be a dart board, or whatever you call it. That I'm sure that there's a lot of other toys that are more safer, other than you should say is a fire, or any other toys related to it. It's like so far as darts, or anything related to poking you in the eye, or should say or something related to say of anything toxic.